Hey! Hi, everybody! We've got a guest. It's John. Hi, John. Hey!
Hey!
My hand
Oh,
goes
that's
in the
doing my
wrong
head in.
direction.
What's more disturbing is there's a video over there of me live, and then there's the bit where it cuts across with a little bit of yeah. I feel like I'm on the BBC telling me not to use rude words. Is that why you've got a delay on it to stop me from using rude words?
I have to say though, the first time we did a stream, I did talk about drug use, and I think ketamine.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought that would be a good tone to set for going forwards.
Well, as I did say,
this might not be as kids friendly as you're hoping.
I am basically a walking PR disaster. There are a lot. I mean, if anybody I've worked with in LARP is watching this, they're probably quite nervous right now.
Yeah, I'm nervous every time I'm on it. Sorry, Emily, you said something. I don't know where it was. Emily's off screen. No one can see her. She's over there.
Setting to say it's not child-friendly material.
Oh, we've checked the setting to say it's not child-friendly material. There we go.
Excellent.
We thought ahead.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm a bit tired and with very little filters today because obviously I've just got back from Empire.
Yeah, it seemed to be very exciting. I only stayed till Thursday, which I think was a new record in leaving events early.
To be fair, we were all quite glad you went, if we're going to be honest.
It was a relief to everyone. And I got to answer loads of messages as well while I was at home, so it worked out.
Yeah. So, what are we talking about? I mean, obviously, I could just sit here and talk about all the gossip from Empire, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Matt,
you should have come to
Empire
Empire if you wanted the gossip for Empire, or if you cared about the gossip for Empire. One of the two. It was very exciting to see loads of new faces in the field.
Oh, it's amazing.
About LARP.
It's genuinely amazing because new players don't do it right in a good way. So you know how we've got these established tropes. Well, yeah, we've got these established tropes. Hit the red monster with the red sword, and all those bits and bobs that they have never been exposed to. And also the whole thing, like where people go, "Oh, I won't go for that position because I'll never get it," and then some new person comes in and goes, "Yeah, I'm going for that," and then take it and run off with it. And much to the consternation of everybody else, they don't know how they work because they're new people. And bless, there was a group I was talking to who were brand new to LARP, and Empire was their first place, and they were grinning like grinning people. See, I have still got a filter, and just having a whale of a time. But I imagine, yeah, it's strange seeing people who've never done it before kind of leaping into it, and just how keen and excited they are. It's really positive. And obviously, my end of stuff at that event, because obviously I do other things, is player support. So I get to see loads of it, and just with a big smile on my face.
You see, I started LARP in a very different end of player support, in that I was involved in helping run Labyrinth. And mainly my job was sitting behind the desk to make sure it didn't fly away and issuing first aid badly.
So it didn't fly away because there was a gazebo involved? Yeah.
Well, no, we were indoors. We were in a cave, weren't we? I was sitting by the only radiator in town. It was joyous. People would come and warm their hands on my desk because it was made of metal. And there were other accusations of people warming other bits of themselves on that desk. But hey-ho.
That's grim.
But I can remember from Labyrinth the same thing, that a popular Labyrinth trope is the invisible force wall. And somewhere hidden in the cave is a magical plate, and you touch the magical plate against the magical force wall. The force wall goes away. You can go through it.
I didn't know that Labyrinth was pro-mime.
Well, it's a little bit weird, some of the things that go on.
Yeah, that feels like where you're going with that. It's a little upsetting.
I mean, if you don't know that the magic plate is going to make the magic invisible wall go away, you have no chance of figuring out what you're doing. You're just walking around in a room with a wall you can't get through and you can't see.
Well, you mean walking around a completely pitch black cave system, looking for a plate on the floor for a invisible wall you can't see, whilst being chased by a centipede.
I believe they've got lights, but I'm not sure I've been down there since they've got lights.
I'm pretty sure in your day, wasn't it candles?
Oh no, we weren't allowed candles because of the story of a referee said, if you see it exists, it exists. And a wag of a party member said, well, does anything we see? And the ref said yes in a slightly pompous way, at which point the cave tour side of Chislehurst Caves came through on their long tour, which occasionally goes through the other part, the live role-playing part of the caves. And the legend has it that the party attacked the tour, and the tour were armed with hurricane lamps. So it was a very exciting little battle.
That vaguely reminds me of a story a friend of mine told me. I won't use their name because it wouldn't be fair to, but one of the sites, Exeter Way, they run linears, and it's the same place the Marines do their training. So, and he was mates with one of the people on the training camp, and apparently one of the things they do is observation training. So, like for snipers, so they just sit in an area all night observing. I think it's more just to make them tired and see how long they can actually concentrate. At which point, training officer gets this, sir, from this poor Marine who's probably thinks he's gone into sleep deprivation. I think I just saw Robin Hood and his fucking merry men go past. At which point, the training officer, who knows absolutely, there's a LARP linear going on, says, "It's all right, son. We don't talk about that, and you'll never talk about it again." And to this day, there's this poor Marine who either thinks that the British military is secretly kitting out the army with plate armor and rubber swords, or has this hallucination that's still stuck in his head.
I can remember a discussion some time ago I had with Simon Medlock from the Medlock Armoury, and it was at the Gathering one year. And Medlock obviously makes an absolute ton of latex weapons. And I can't really remember which company I was working for at the time, but that company made quite a lot of latex weapons. The discussion went, Simon, you make loads of weapons and we make loads of weapons. At the end, we get to this weekend in the Gathering, and this is probably back in the 90s or 80s or something, and we sell loads of weapons. What does everyone do with them? Are they jumping in their cars? And on the M1, either two junctions north and south of Junction 25, there's just littered with latex weapons lobbed out the window with people saying, "Don't need this anymore." You eat?
That's amazing. Emily's just sent me a list of questions. I'm not sure who's supposed to be asking who, but I think...
Well, you've got the list of questions, so it's probably best if you ask them. Oh, hang on, she's handing me the questions. She's waving the questions at me.
I need no questions for this particular journey.
How long have you been LARPing? That's the first question. She's got to wait for the questions, so take your time.
So I was going to be really smooth with this and actually, like a professional, segue back to it, because you spoke about your first time as a new person in LARP, as we discussing the new players. Hey, professional here. And I was going to say my first LARPing experience, I think, was 15 or 16. And it was F&H, Fools and Heroes.
So clearly last week then, John, eh?
Yeah, that's it. So what? 15... what's 47 minus 15? 32 years ago? 32 years ago, if my maths is right, which I don't think it is.
302 is close.
Shut up. And I had a ridiculous gaffer sword, which had lead shot in it that somebody had lent me. And it was like one of those short leaf blade things. So it was actually shaped. It was a marvel of gaffer tape technology of the time.
I'll bet.
And it was an overnight, but kind of like not an overnight. It was just at night. And my main abiding experience of it as a 15-year-old young man was we had this scene where we had to do... Oh, I'm hearing myself. That's really disturbing. We had this... we were NPCing, and the scene was a bunch of dark elves, no makeup, I might add. Yeah, which is how you should do them. I won't get into that. We're supposed to be sleeping, and the players were supposed to be pretending, sleep past us, and if they woke us up, we woke up. And I just remember this absolutely gorgeous 17-year-old going, "See what? Why didn't you curl up with me?" And that was me sold on LARP, basically.
So John and a mirror in a field.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm a massive narcissist. Let's face it. Anybody who goes for a field NPC role is a narcissist. He says, earning the ire of all of the people that I know.
Occasionally, people try and make LARP slightly better for everybody else, but potatoes.
Yeah, if it's best for everybody else, it's better for me. That's why I see it.
Turns out a lot of our questions are geared up currently to weapon makers. So
I've never made.
We've had to ditch a lot of those because you don't really make weapons.
Well, I can leap in on that though. Wookie at Mandala, excellent company. A little bit of advertising there. Oh, I should have worn my Mandala top. He'll be so cross.
I can't get mine somewhere. My one says on the back of it, it's spelled LARP.
Mine says Pretty Princess on the back of it. It's the only hot pink one.
Yours is pink, I remember.
Yeah, and it's covered in glitter and gems, and it is the only Mandala top that will be like that.
I've got my baby pink having a LARP t-shirt on.
Which is gorgeous. I see you dressed up as I did as well. Yeah, I was going to put a tux on, but
I changed my t-shirt and hoodie.
But Wookie does keep threatening to get me to make swords and stuff, and I know the principles behind it. I also know that I'm the kind of person that would actually manage to lock myself in an enclosed place with Isoflex and die, because that's who I am. I might be a creative.
I may have slept in rooms where weapons covered in Isoflex were drying in my earlier days of making weapons,
which is amazing. I'm sure it's had no effect on you in any way, shape, or form.
None whatsoever. Any of my strokes, nothing to do with it.
Oh, I'm being so well behaved. I'm being so well behaved right now.
Well, I know.
I know it's quite difficult. But yeah, I know the principles behind it. I've never made LARP arrows before.
You see,
the most deadly of objects, and the ones I made were safe and are accurate.
When I started making latex weapons back in '92 or something, we were in the Labyrinth workshop, and there were blank arrows for us to make LARP arrows out of. But we didn't really know how to make LARP arrows, and the technology they'd given us to do it with was rubbish. It was still back in the days of sticking a cork on the end of it and putting a bit of gaffer tape over it. It was terrible. So basically these arrows sat around for as long as I can remember, with slowly warping as well, because obviously it was slightly damp in the workshop, and no one made the arrows.
I can run you through how to make a safe LARP arrow. But on the other hand, nobody really cares about that. What they're really here to see is me talk about how much you secretly hate Wookie and other such gossip. That's what people are here for. Let's be honest.
For years.
Yeah, and you've hated him all that time, and I can't believe you've never told him.
Everyone has a hobby.
Yeah, that's fair. Is anybody actually watching this? Because if they aren't, that'd be amazing.
Apparently so. There's people in the voice chat and everything. I've just looked up and noticed.
Is there anybody I know that I can be rude to?
I don't know. Oh, Raf's on it apparently.
Raf,
killed his father. That's what it says.
Okay, nice. Hi, Raf. I can't read any of these things, so when he starts...
No one believes you, Raf. We all know you were made in a lab.
Oi, leave my LARP dad alone.
He could be your dad. He hasn't got his own dad. You've got no LARP granddad, weirdo.
I do. I can make this weird and make Matt Pennington Raf's dad, and then Pennington's now my granddad. But it gets a bit weird at that point, and I refuse. Actually, to be fair, I refuse to call Andy daddy in public. In public, my lad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I realise he's only here because he knows I'm a walking PR disaster, and I'm going to say something awful.
Actually, what he said is upside down headed twat.
But that's not fair. Ian hasn't got a beard.
My head's on the right way up. I don't know what he's talking about.
Are you saying that Ian's actually got a very long beard? He's twisted his head because you can't be referring to me again.
I grew my hair long after Brexit. That's what happened.
It's all right. He's going to start talking about Cockneys in a minute. It's going to get really weird. Although we're not allowed to talk about Cockneys and Empire in the same breath. Because I once created. This is going back when I was on the plot side rather than front of house. I once created an advert trying to get NPCs, and it genuinely, it was just a picture of Danny Dyer, and said, "Can you out-act Danny Dyer? If so, join our NPC team." And a load of people got really, really angry because I was being rude about Cockneys, which may have been the most niche and weird thing, bearing in mind I was born within the sound of Bow Bells. I was like,
which ones?
I'm not saying, because you'll then go, "Oh no, you weren't," and then Andy will be insufferable for the next 2.5 years until he finds something different, and I'm not putting up with that. He's now tied to fake Cockney, hasn't he?
I believe I'm the only member of my family that wasn't born in the sound of Bow Bells, so hey-ho.
Weirdly, I'm not surprised. On the grounds you are the Del Boy of LARP.
Perhaps, blimey. We've got a blue lamp that kills insects. It's just gone off, and insect has decided that this is the time to make its impact.
But yeah, wow, I'm skirting here now.
Now Raph said, which is weird, as you're a posh Cockney. I don't know who he's talking to.
It's me, because you're not a Cockney, are you?
Right, then.
To be fair, it's better than being Waitrose Jesus, which is somebody completely different who I'm sure won't come up. So we got a bunch of questions here about. So amateur or beer money? I quite like that one. So do you do it for beer money, or is it your full-time job?
That's the thing. Most people start off when they're making weapons or whatever, and they start as a beer money job. So they've got a real job, and they make a little bit of extra stuff. And traditionally, they'd go to a large event and they'd sell their things, and that money would get them some beer at the event. So they're called beer money traders.
But also, don't forget, before we go too far down the making weapons and trade type thing, only about 7 people in the LARP community cares about traders.
It's true. No one knows who they are. It's amazing.
No. Yeah, it's a weird one because obviously I'm an amateur, and and being an amateur, I'm really bad for the hobby. It sounds weird. There's a really good article, and again, I'm not going to name the person who wrote it because it wouldn't be fair to just splash their name out, but it's a friend of mine. And she wrote an article breaking down the costs of a LARP. And we kind of have to be amateurs because to actually run a LARP, paying everybody on a professional level, the ticket price would be insane.
Yeah, it'd be a cast of thousands, basically.
But more importantly, it would be a ticket price that would be very similar to spending, I don't know, a weekend away in London. It would be worth its amount.
I invited some friends to a LARP many years ago, and most of my LARP friends were a bit complaining about the price for going away and staying in a youth hostel for the weekend. Whereas these other people that had real jobs in London and were busy and earned money, they all thought it was an absolute snip to go away for a weekend for the low cost of whatever this LARP was.
And it is weird, and it's one of those things that I like the fact that we have amateurs like myself running stuff because it means that, and companies that keep their prices down, like PD, or I'm going to run through a couple of companies and just kind of like give them massive promo. PD, iLarp, CP. I'm not going to mention the other large fair system because the prices are kept down. But if you think about 40 people staying in a stately home where you have a cast of people turning up to entertain you with stories and food and special effects, and take 5 minutes to think about what the actual cost of that is, it's insane.
Oh yeah,
and to run that professionally would be you're cutting out a large amount of marketing. And I know there's ways and means where people pay a little extra money for other people. But I think having the amateur side is important.
At this stage in the conversation, all I can think about is College of Wizardry.
I thought the first.
Pardon?
Sorry, did you say Disney?
College of Wizardry.
I think I may be making a slightly snarky comment about Disney there. But yeah, I believe they've taken that on now on their own theme sites now. They're doing that sort of thing.
Well, I think the Star Wars world looks fun.
Yeah,
it's basically a much better LARP than we can afford to run.
College of Wizardry. Now, obviously, my brain is fried because a sleep deprivation after a weekend running around crewing. Aren't they the ones that there was financial irregularities around? Or am I wrong?
It was the Danish company that was running the Harry Potter style LARP in Poland, in a castle.
Are we allowed to talk about that without getting sued?
It depends what we say, I imagine.
So, shall we change the subject?
Because it ran in this castle, I think we can say, but yeah, I don't think it ended well.
You know what? If you actually want to talk about that, the best people to get on, because I heard all in all it's a great game, but the people you want to get on are people like Dave Norris, who crewed it.
Would be top of my list too.
Sorry?
Top of my list too.
Yeah, because he'll know his way through it. Can you see it? But did you like my little segue there from beer, money, or amateur into the wonderful world of the price of LARP and how we're... See, it's almost like I've done this sort of thing before. It's the fact I'm looking over here, looking at the list of questions. So what are you most proudest of, Ian, other than that time you burnt down the UK LARP Facebook group?
No, I ruined... I can't really remember his name. What was the LARP group? When I started the LARP Wars, it all kicked off a little bit weird.
And
that's the one I broke.
No, there was another one. You broke the there's the one after
Rule
Pagger.
7. Rule 7. That was it. Not Pagger. Sorry, Pagger. Didn't have anything to do with you. Rule 7. Yeah. So I kicked off strong about the LARP Awards.
After destroying large sections of the LARP community and making them sad, other than that, what's you most proudest of?
I just did cover this, that I was pretty proud of LarpCon, which was nudged ahead of having a LARP, but then it just became an advert for all the things I run. Currently, I'm not as proud of the wrestling company I run, but we've only had 2 shows, so give it time, eh?
Is that the wrestling company that you really needed, what's it, temporary road surfaces for? Is that the wrestling company you're talking about?
No, clearly I needed temporary road surfaces to ruin somebody's day at an event somewhere. I can't possibly talk about anything else.
My understanding is there's a bit of confusion about why you were asking for temporary road surfaces, and some people got angry.
Well, I don't just live in a field. I am a quite multi-diverse person.
And after that comment, I have so many friends I'm going to need to apologise to for even bringing that up.
Well,
but yeah, well, you're supposed to ask me what I'm most proud of now.
What are you most proud of? What have you done?
I'm not going to tell you. No, I'm telling you. It's taken so long to get around to it.
I just Hades.
See. I am really, really proud of Hades. I love the fact that I have run a game that is low combat and is about human emotions, feelings, and the basic theme of it was mental illness, depression, alienation, and was written at the time of Brexit, and I was angry about it. So I'm really proud of that. I think it is... I don't like the people call it Nordic, because it isn't, not even remotely, because it's in the south of England, so it's home county Zik. But it's low rules, but it's about people and how they get trapped in their own heads and their own desires and problems. And I love that, because that's my thing, and I'm massively political, and I am really, really proud of that, massively. What I think I'm more proud of, and nobody's allowed to laugh, including you, Andy, is...
It's taken me ages to read his messages, so don't worry. I think it's slander because we're saying it. It's libel if we write it down.
To be fair, and I was having a real moment of emotion there, but you obviously can't keep up anymore because your brain's gone a bit...
And I've ruined it by talking about Raph.
Yeah. Although I have got a semi now. Again, out loud. No, I'm really proud of Hades. But I think the thing I'm proudest of that I've done in LARP is when I run games, I put together crews that are inclusive, have no drama, and I run games that are inclusive and when I say low drama, I'm talking about the out-of-character stuff, or low drama. And I think it was Dave Kibblewhite said to me when I think it was either The Forest or Hades, and he said to me, "You do realise that in this game and the games you're running, the minority of players are female, minority of players are male." And I was starting going, and I hadn't noticed, because obviously when you're running a game, the only thing you can see is the next 5 that you're putting out. But I think that's probably what I'm proudest of. Not that, it's not something I went and sought out, but that within the games I run, femme-presenting people like the stuff I do, and it feels like I'm not running traditional LARP for beardy old men that look like this.
Well, yeah.
So that's what I'm proudest of. It's that. It's the fact that I run games where people feel safe enough to explore fundamentally really horrible themes around mental illness, their obsessions, their desires, and how they twist you up inside, which is hard to do well as a player. As an NPC, it's easy because you just put it to one side. You're not living with it the entire weekend and then decompressing afterwards. And that people feel safe doing that around me. That I think I'm prouder of than Ghosts game that is effectively about punching Nazi ghosts. Although that is a thing that should be good because the more Nazis punched in the world, the better. There you go. That was a deep moment from me. I'm trying to find one on this list that I can answer. I'm trying to find something I can answer on this list that's really shallow. Have you invented any new techniques? Yes.
We're like LarPals. We don't talk about things you dislike. What do you dislike? You sure you got that? What do you dislike in LARP?
What do I?
Oh, what part of your job do you? Your job, which is aimed at web makers, but when you're making a LARP, what aspect of writing or running it do you dislike most?
Right, let's go back to just dislike because I have a list.
That'll take a while. I don't know if the laptop battery's only going to last a little while.
So what do I dislike most about running events? That 2 hours before time in. So when you're running this might be different for other people, but when I'm running an event, events have a momentum of their own. It's that moment you push the start button and it goes, and it's just going to go, and you have to go with it. You follow it, you make adjustments, you make changes. Crew come up to you with plot ideas, and you go, "That's cool." Throw it in, and all of that. Before running, I'm a nervous wreck of, is everything right? Is it in the right place? Is it going to run? This is going to be terrible. Everything's awful. My hair's on fire. Thankfully, I have an Emma who runs my logistics, who then just slaps me upside the head and tells me to stop being silly. Also, my friend Mark gave me the best advice I've ever heard in running a game. And he said, I looked at the players playing your game, and if you locked them in a storage, in a long cabin with no lights, filled with rats that want to eat their faces, they'd still have fun because they'd be role-playing. And I kind of sat there and went, okay, I'll do that then. But yeah, that's the bit I really hate when it comes to running events. It's that time waiting to start. Also, 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, which is the traditional dead space for plotting games, where I'm then just sitting there going, I'm panicking, I haven't got enough plot. Whilst players go, can you not send more plot because we've got too much? And I'm going, but you need more cake. Eat the plot cake, or else.
Well,
but yeah, those bits.
Tricky, eh?
That's what my other half says. Yes. But it's weird.
Feel better about yourself.
Yeah. It is weird. It's less to pacing. I think it's also because, like you, I grew up on Trad LARP. There's a dead hour, quick, send in a camp attack, that sort of thing. And I hate camp attacks. I really loathe them. There's something like, and I'll get to why in a moment. But so I try and avoid doing that. I'd rather send in something, because if you've got 100 people for something, you've got like 100 bodies to do something. You could send them around the field, charging camps, which, to be honest, will have effect on one camp first, and all the other camps know, and then like there's a door in the way. We could take those 100 people, divide them up into groups of 20, give them really cool roles, make them go and role play people, and other stuff. So it seems like a weird use of resources. Or if that makes sense,
we could break them down into groups of 3, send them out so they get overwhelmed entirely by groups of players, and it's all a little bit pointless.
Yeah, there's that as well. Unless, of course, they are uber powerful and they are a red monster and need hitting with a red sword.
That goes best. What you were saying about worry, somebody giving you advice on the players would amuse themselves if they're in a box.
Yeah.
Also, you may have written a carefully constructed written plot, but then when it goes absolutely terribly wrong, and you're scrabbling around panicking and throwing things and hitting yourself in the head with the clipboard, not that I've ever hit myself in the head with a clipboard in frustration, ever.
Explains a lot.
What happens then is the players don't actually notice. They think that was the plan all along and just continue with their day.
So, top secret, I write Friday night and then wing it. I mean, obviously, I know where I'm going and what I'm doing, and I've got a few encounters written down. But I think and this is very different to Fest LARP. You can't do this at Fest LARP. I think in small games, when you've got 20, 40 players, and a good crew, and there is, a good crew means absolutely everything, and a bunch of players who buy in means absolutely everything. You effectively, you're changing and modifying on the way through. And the one thing that I loathe more than anything else when it comes to that sort of thing is, a moment where players don't get your carefully crafted puzzle or whatever, and somebody will come in and go, "Oh, stupid players." The players aren't stupid. We've just communicated it badly. And I think that's...
I had a party that took 3/4 of an hour to work out they had to walk through a doorway backwards.
Yeah, but that's not their fault, because part of this is down to us as writers and game runners communicating well. And it's now, I mean, obviously, in more complex political systems and things like that, sometimes people will hear something and take the meaning to be something else. I'm being charitable there. But I think that a lot of the time when things go wrong because players didn't get it, is because we didn't communicate well.
Oh yeah.
And I think I'm so glad we're past kind of that 90s attitude that the players are the enemies and somehow wrong for even being there playing, and that somehow refs and plot writers are more important than the players. Which, I mean, that was a very 90s attitude. And as a player, I loathed it.
A combination of trying to make a good story.
It felt very much like, oh God, so many people are going to hate me after this. It felt very much like the player base was somehow a inconvenience, that we were just idiots to kind of like bounce through things. We'd paid our money and to massage somebody's ego.
Yeah,
and that was very much 90s LARP. I mean, not all of it. There were some amazing writers and runners during the 90s.
There was a strong feeling of, I'm a referee because I want the ego trip of being the referee.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to go hashtag not all out referees, but there was a very pervasive rugby culture, I think, during the 90s, in certain segments of the LARP community.
It was the era of laddism.
Oh yeah, it really was, wasn't it? But the thing was, stuff it. I'll deal with the hatred later. I think that if we exist in a community where we are all functionally a little bit nerdy, I mean, I know this beautiful face is not nerdy, but I'm a massive nerd. Or what's somebody saying? You've got a look of fear on your face, Ian.
Yeah, so I'm reading the messages that are coming up because they're very small. Not ideal. We have to do something about that. Make that thing bigger or something. I don't need to see my screen. It's me.
I've had that.
I know what I look like.
I've had that complaint myself. But yeah, if you exist in, because the 90s was actually pretty harsh if you're a nerd. I love how you're looking at that and not paying any attention to me.
No, not at all. Don't keep saying wrath. What do you want? What do you want? You want me to pay attention to you? You're losing out to someone's text message.
Oh, I'll read it later and then hunt those people down. I think, let's face it, nerd culture during the 90s sucked. And we had, rightly or wrongly, a chip on our shoulder that said that we weren't cool and that we were the people that were on the butt of every joke.
What I would also equate it to is when I started live role playing in '88, and I would say live role playing wasn't a cool hobby, and it had people that were basically a bit weird at school because they liked fantasy games and were usually ostracized and didn't really have any friends. Yeah. And what they did was they went to LARP and suddenly they met a load of new people who were pretty accepting because they did the same crazy hobby, but didn't have any social skills. And the social skills they had, they were learning off each other, and they didn't have any social skills. And the ones that did have social skills, they caught those off bullies at school who'd bullied them horribly.
Spot on. And I think that led to quite a toxic culture in LARP. And I think even we're older LARPers. We went through it. We were probably the cause of some of it too at times. But we've kind of gone for our healing, got over it. And I think it's really good that this new generation of LARPers isn't seeing that. They're not on the receiving end of it. They don't have to kind of go through that kind of awful, almost hazing LARP that was back then. Wow, that got deeper than I expected to be.
Cosplay's helped too.
Yeah, it has. There was a weird year or so where I didn't get cosplay. And then somebody explained it to me as it's just going, I really like this thing and I'm excited and happy about it. And I went, oh, that makes sense now. You know, people like things and are allowed to like things.
Oh yeah.
Unless
it did always strike me as a bit like LARP, but without any rules, without any plot, because it turned out there were loads of rules. And John's frozen or dead or gone away. I don't know what's happening. He stopped moving, and no one cares. They're looking at their phones over there instead. Oh! I don't know what's happened.
Am I back?
It's John. He's back again. Hooray! He went away.
Right, and you'll know about this because whenever we're doing tabletop roleplay, I'll just drop out. Yeah, I was going to say about cosplay. I think when people get to enjoy things they love, they should be allowed to. And I think it took me a while to kind of go, oh, that's why they're doing it. It's just pure enjoyment and stuff like that. I think bringing that kind of positive attitude over is really good for LARP. And I think that positivity goes a long way.
While I broadly agree with what you're saying, I'm still quite anti-tall dwarves.
I'm anti-elves with beards.
Oh, yeah, I'll be down with that. I have to admit, if I had a group of mates and we were all 6 foot plus and we all played dwarves, that would be fine because we're all the same size.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm playing a human and you're playing a dwarf and you're slightly taller than me, that's a little bit weird.
I'd suggest that I hate the word fizz wrap, but if you can't visually show it, why is it in your system? So if you know that you can't put a 4 foot tall, muscle bound monster with an axe in your game, don't put it in your game. That takes it out completely. It's quite easy.
Part of my job over the years was reading referees' written adventures and giving them feedback on it. And one of my pet hates is in LARP. I am a human shape, and therefore I'd quite like to play monster encounters that are basically human form. Please don't tell me I'm a wolf. Please don't tell me I'm some kind of flame elemental, because I'm not. I'm a bloke.
Well, this thing, that's where good writing comes in. You put a werewolf in instead of a wolf, or some sort of bipedal wolf monster. You know, a flame elemental. You could do a flame elemental actually, but it just takes a good makeup, good kit, good lighting. It's doable.
Well, yeah, they're doable, but with costume. If you just say to me, right, Ian, you're wearing this black robe, go and play a wolf, and then in Encounter 2, you're playing a water elemental, I'm going to look miserable.
Well, that's why you don't write a water elemental in unless you can actually physically portray a water elemental, which would actually be better portrayed with a waterproof speaker, some water, and blue lighting, because that looks so much cooler, and make it a talkie encounter. Or have some crew in blacks in the dark with water guns, whilst this thing talks and growls at you.
They always cheer people up being squirted with water. They love it.
I usually find it's best during December events. That's the best time to hose somebody down. Although, will she mind me telling you this? Yeah, so I wrote a plot for Empire, which involved effectively a water monster who was not abducting children, but luring them to become her family. And my friend Dimara went full method on it. So she got a bucket of water in freezing cold weather and just dumped it over the top of her head and over her kit, and then waited around for half an hour to do the roll.
That encounter with the party meeting the Lady of the Lake, that caused a little bit of kerfuffle.
I am not commenting on that because I do not need that much hate over scuba diving and stuff ever in my life. as it is, most of my friends will be messaging me later to say, I can't believe you said that. Why did you bring up that? Oh, God, you're the worst.
Yeah, most people have probably forgotten most of this stuff that we're remembering going, hang on, what about this?
The best part of this is there's probably a couple of people down there going, wow, John's been really restrained talking to Ian about this stuff. Because I am. I'm going to look down that question list again before I get really distracted into the realms of. I don't think we've actually touched any of them, to be brutally honest.
What he's proudest of. He's proudest of.
Tell you a funny story about Larp. I've told you funny stories about Larp.
What's your favourite funny story?
It's not mine, and I can't repeat it in public. But it is amazing. The best story I've ever heard in Larp.
Tap up John when you see him in person and ask him to tell you a funny story. If you give him beer, he probably will.
My favourite funny story, I'll talk around it, involves a microphone, the ritual circle, and a couple having sex. That is my favourite funny story I've ever heard in my life. It's amazing. Yeah. Where do I get my inspiration from? Actually, I'm going to talk about something that actually.
So what happened was you talked about microphones and people having sex, and that made me think of one of the experiences I had at a German LARP event.
I'm not sure I want to know this.
We were all sitting in a bar. There were quite a few people helping me in my stall, and there were quite a few English players in a group all over, and we were hanging out at a bar. The bar was relatively near a hot tub house. One of the people sitting around the table said, "Hey, look, those two people are having sex in that hot tub." At this point in the evening, I might have been fairly drunk. So I ran over, waving my arms above my head, going, "Woo!" in a very, very, very grown-up manner. When I got close, obviously I'm British, so I got a little bit restrained. But I did notice two of my other friends in a different hot tub, just sort of chatting. So I went and chatted to them. But they're German and they're naked in a hot tub, which is normal. But I'm British, so I'm ducking down, so I'm below the side of the barrel that they're hot tubbing in, so I can't see their bits. Because, you know. But yeah, people having sex at LARP events, terrifying.
No comment. No comment. So anyway, inspiration. I'm going to go.
Out of saved up time. We probably should have switched that off.
Oh. How much time we got left? Are we still talking at this point?
We're still talking. It appears to be. I don't know.
Okay. So inspiration. One of the things that I am, and I'll leave it at this, and then I'll bugger off because I want to go and smoke because I'm not cool and have a hideous addiction.
I haven't had dinner yet either. I thought of having my dinner, so I could have, we could do this.
Okay, this is about me. Let's be absolutely fair.
Sure.
One of the best things I've had experience of in LARP is getting to work with other people.
And like that day when everybody turned up at the event and gave John a cigarette. Do you remember that day? Was good. That day was brilliant, everyone. Remember that day?
But I was going to say, if there's one thing I would say to anybody who's like young and going, "Oh, I'd like to run an event," is go and work with other people who run events. Learn absolutely everything you can from them. Magpie everything, and then do it your own way anyway. But I've had the opportunity to work with people like Andy, Matt, just so many people. I can get off saying their names, but there's a long list of people I've worked with. I don't want to just throw their names out there because it's not fair.
I don't mind. I'm happy to be overlooked. Twat.
What have you ever taught me other than how people have fine? Sorry. I remember that time I worked in your stall and sold a ridiculous amount of stuff in about an hour.
It was a Labyrinth Open Day, wasn't it? Very exciting.
It was. Yeah, Labyrinth. Yeah, base 6, that's the thing, isn't it? Oh,
it's good. I can still count it base 6. It's very, very handy.
Yeah, I can't count base 6 whilst being hit in the face with a rubber sword. So
yeah, that makes everybody. It
going back to cosplay, everybody is allowed the fun that they enjoy.
Apart from you're not allowed to hit them in the face with a rubber sword and shout 6 at them.
No. If you enjoy that, you're allowed to do that.
You're not. I went to the MCM Expo. They got really annoyed. And then we set the drugs dog off with our caps from our. It was a bomb dog with the caps from our Maelstrom pistols, and it smelt the gunpowder and had a little bit of a seizure. It was great.
That is genius. That is absolute genius. I love how you're slowly but surely changing the subject before I say something absolutely awful, because I was getting close.
It's only a matter of time.
I am a big
Eventually
fan
we're
of.
going to get done for slander, I'm sure.
I am a massive fan of modern systems that are either low rules, have rules that have a purpose, or as non-intrusive as possible.
I think LARP has definitely gone through a development, because even though I haven't been to Treasure Trap or never went to Treasure Trap, I believe Treasure Trap was basically Dungeons and Dragons converted into live role playing, which gave loads of people different wonky hit levels and things like that. And you get to a point when you're live role playing that you get more powerful and more powerful and more powerful. In a tabletop game, complicated stats are easy because you can write them on a bit of paper. In a live game, you're trying to remember, did I get hit 15 times in my right leg or 16 times? I don't know. I was too busy counting the 6 blows to the head.
No, absolutely. And I think that, as much as I am joking a little bit about old school games, they're not all trapped in amber, like, and waiting for somebody to extract their genetics and make dinosaurs out of them. People enjoy them. They have their place in LARP. That's cool. I think that LARP has very specific things it's good at. It's really good at. It's good at social situations. It's good at that kind of visceralness of things. It's amazing at horror. It's amazing at that kind of moments where you can interact with something and get that kind of immersion. Oh, I said that word. And I think when it leans into those things, it's at its absolute best. I think if I want to play a really good combat-based thing where I get really good feedback from the combat, I've got a PlayStation downstairs, if that makes sense. And I like a ruck occasionally, but I think that if I want nuanced, subtle builds and that sort of thing, I can just boot my PlayStation up.
When I used to live very close to where Labyrinth is situated in southeast London, Kent border.
You shock me.
Then when I stopped working at Labyrinth, I moved to West London. Ironically, to about 20 minutes away drive from the Packard Scout Camp where Renewal is run.
Yeah.
I moved the year they moved their events to Packard. It was brilliant.
Genius. CP was the first LARP I went to.
I can believe it.
And I was there for years and years and years.
Ironically, Renewal wasn't the first Fest LARP I'd been to that day.
Well, yeah, you were trading, so you'd probably done the LT or Drumhill?
No, the LT was when the LT was at Loco Park. I'd driven up with stock and I dropped it off at the Labyrinth stall at the LT. And then I was dispatched in my car with a tent and a table and a helper and some swords to Drum Hill, because it's only about 7 miles away.
Yeah.
Wow. Which is what I write often when we've got a Curious Pastimes trader booking form. One of the questions is, where did you hear about Curious Pastimes? And I write, I traded at the first renewal.
Yeah, and that, you know what? You should get somebody in to do the history of the setting up a CP, because I would come and watch that whilst eating popcorn. It would be amazing.
Indeed, I think I covered sort of the history of large scale LARPs in one of my earlier videos, but I was very careful to try and avoid being
sued,
done for slander as well.
Done for slander or taken out the back and having your kneecaps broken. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I work in the industry, and while I try and be fair and not too cruel, I spent quite a lot of my years being quite cruel. So if it comes to it, I can be. But I try and be sort of productive about LARP, but you've got to tread carefully because people's feelings are very easy to hurt. And while I might say something that is true, it might upset the person that was responsible for that thing. Yeah, and that's not really my intention. It's not really to upset people. It's just to make the hobby a nice place. But hey,
and I think also one of the things that I think we've discovered with LARP, especially the new influx of players, is that actually being positive about stuff, not being bitter and grumpy, and generally moaning and all the stuff we used to do in the 90s is actually better for the hobby. And we actually end up, and this is a shock that some people want to get, actually enjoying it. And I think that's the thing at the end of the day, is we're supposed to be enjoying this hobby, not turning into some...
I think there was a very early, just the progression of LARPs, how they started. It was very much, you are lucky to be allowed to come here and play our special game that you're enjoying so much. And it very slowly converted from being a business-orientated focus to a customer-orientated focus. And I think these days, large-scale LARPs are far more customer-focused than they used to be. Although I did go to a large-scale event, and I knocked on a door, or went in a door. I didn't know what was in there because the door was open, and what was in it was written on the door, but because it was wide open, you couldn't see it because it was against the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And I went into that room and got told to go into another room to talk to somebody. And so I went to talk to them, and basically they ignored me and carried on with the job they were doing while I sat there waiting for them to talk to me. And in the conversation I had, I'd mentioned something that was happening, and somebody else who wasn't actually in the conversation interrupted or interjected with, I can't even, I've talked so long, I can't even remember what she interjected. Oh, yeah, it's clearly on the door when I said it was difficult to find out what was going on. And it was, well, it's their problem if they can't see it. And my reaction quick as a flash was, that's the kind of attitude we want to see in live action role play. Thanks. And that person went a little bit quiet.
Again, it's back to the whole thing of don't blame the players if they don't quite get it, because you probably haven't dropped it right.
Yeah.
But we've gone on forever, and I haven't even bothered touching, being bisexual in 90s LARP and bisexual now, which I would love to talk about, and I think you should get some LGBTQ plus people on to actually talk about their experiences within that sort of space.
I think that is a great idea, and I think it is one that I am really, really not qualified to be hosting.
That's all right. I won't host it, but I'll come along and help out. And I know just the people. I know just the people to be strident on the issue.
I'll sit in the corner and watch the screen and maybe answer this little chat box, which is tiny.
Well, you can come along. Yeah, it'll be adorable. Right, I really should get going, because otherwise we'll have bored everybody's deaf, and this YouTube video, when you put it up, will be an hour long.
Nobody will watch it. It'll be too long. I only want one that lasts 3 minutes, involves cats falling off stuff.
It's all right. One person
throw across the room. Maybe we could just.
It's all right. One person will say, "Did you hear what John said about 90s rugby culture in LARP? You should watch this." And then
I'm going to share it
then
on
people
LarpHaven.
watch all the way along with it. Yeah.
We'll put it up on YouTube, and then we'll share the clip to LarpHaven with the title. I can't believe what John said about this.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. And that's that. Yeah. It's almost like the internet is driven by saying contentious things, and that is better. Yeah, that's the other thing I hate. Sorry, one last
really quickly there, mate.
One last soapbox. The fact that negativity on the internet, it carries so much more weight than the positivity, and just kills me a little bit, especially around LARP. But that'll be my last thing. Anyway, love you loads, man. I will see you later.
Thank you very much for your time. On that last point, that's sort of why I run the LARP Awards and don't have any negative categories. But hey, people can hate them if they want. It's up to them. We're not in charge of them. And now I'm going to try and figure out how to stop this stream. But thank you very much for your time, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Love the jelly and ice cream.